What's the difference between Villager and Isabelle? Both of these Animal Crossing reps seem very similar on the surface, but just what makes them unique? That's what I'm going to explore today. I'll be focusing on their most notable features, with the most important thing being their moveset. But first, let's start off with some miscellaneous character traits. Their running speed looks about the same, but Isabelle is actually a tiny bit faster. I'll really slow down the clip so you can see it more clearly, and how she reaches Mario before Villager does. Their jump height, however, seems to be the exact same. Their weight properties are different though, with Villager being just a bit heavier than Isabelle, meaning our little dog friend is easier to KO. Isabelle has a slightly faster airspeed as well as being a bit floatier, but again, much like their run speed, these differences are very small. Perhaps the biggest movement difference is that Villager is able to wall jump, while Isabelle can't. Anyway, let's get into the bulk of these characters, their moveset. And like always, I'll start off with their standard attacks. Their neutral attacks are different. Villager attacks with boxing gloves, which can be used to unleash a flurry of punches that ends with a strong jab. Isabelle swings a tiny toy hammer, which has very short range, but can combo into itself at low percents due to its extremely low knockback. At high percents, you can even combo it into other attacks, like her down smash. Their forward tilts are the same, with both characters swinging an umbrella. Isabelle's attack has more ending lag though, and also launches the opponent at a lower angle than Villager. Their down tilts are again the same attacks, but with small differences. When hitting at the sweet spot, which is right on top of the weed being pulled, Isabelle's attack does a little more damage. But when getting a hit from farther away, Villager's attack is more powerful than Isabelle's. Isabelle's version also has less ending lag, but its attack duration is shorter than Villager's. Their up tilts are different moves. Villager swings a stick above him, which performs 2 hits. It has a pretty long duration and can even kill at high percentages. However, due to its long duration and fairly small range, it can be pretty punishable. Isabelle swings a broom above her, which is only 1 hit but is much quicker and has a bit more reach than Villager's stick. It can also be used to set up combos, but it doesn't have the KO power of Villager's up tilt. Finally, their dash attacks, which are almost the exact same but have some small differences. In terms of visuals, Villager drops a potted sapling while Isabelle drops a ceramic pot. Functionally, they're basically the same, but Isabelle's variation comes out a bit faster and also has less ending lag, making it the better version overall. That's it for their standard attacks, so let's pitfall into their smash attacks. Their forward smashes are totally different. Villager drops a bowling ball while Isabelle fires a party popper. Villager's attack is incredibly powerful, but it doesn't have the best horizontal range. It also has a lot of end lag and lengthy startup, but the bowling ball can be a useful edge guarding tool since it can be dropped off ledges. And the power of the attack is actually higher as the ball is dropping. Hilariously, this attack can be reflected even up close since it's considered a projectile. Isabelle's party popper is also very strong, but like the bowling ball is accompanied with very short range. This move comes out faster than the bowling ball and is a pretty good KO option for Isabelle, but unfortunately the short range can make it pretty difficult to land. Their down smashes are also different attacks. Villager digs both in front and behind him with a shovel, while Isabelle uses a bucket of water to attack on both sides. It may seem like the only difference is the visuals, but nope, they function completely differently. Villager's attack buries grounded opponents, which then allows him to follow up with another attack and can even be comboed into his forward smash at high percentages. However, hitting an airborne opponent will instead inflict very light knockback. Isabelle's down smash simply launches the opponent, and the attack comes out very quick. But for a smash attack, its knockback is pretty weak, especially on the back swing of the bucket, which is even weaker than the front swing. And finally, their up smashes, which are again very different. Villager fires off a firework, and Isabelle raises a sign in front of her while blowing a whistle. Villager's attack creates a pretty big explosion that does multiple hits, which is especially useful for hitting overhead opponents. Isabelle's attack is only 2 hits, 1 hit as the sign is rising up, and another once it reaches its peak. Both the horizontal and vertical range are quite poor, which makes it unsuitable as a reliable KO option. However, it can be comboed into her up air at low percents. Okay, now let's jump into their air attacks. Get it? Jump into air attacks? Okay, never mind. Their neutral airs are different attacks. Villager does a mid-air cartwheel thingy, and Isabelle spins around while holding pom-poms. Functionally, the attacks are a bit samey, but Villager's attack has a bit faster startup, while Isabelle's is a little more powerful. Their forward airs are the exact same, and that's including their functionality. The slingshot is strongest right near the start of the attack, and it's also useful as a zoning tool. There's not much else to say here. And their back airs are also the exact same. Seriously, there's no difference here. But in case you didn't know, their back airs are actually a bit stronger than their front airs, but it also comes out just a little slower. So just to streamline things a bit here, I'm going to talk about their down and up airs together. So on surface level, they're basically the same moves, but they function very differently. With Villager's version of these moves, he'll pull out a random number of turnips to attack with, which ranges between 1 and 3. The power of the attack depends on how many turnips are pulled out, and when the maximum of 3 is used, it's stronger than Isabelle's version. This is because Isabelle always uses 2 turnips for her up air and down air. Essentially, this just means Isabelle's attacks don't have the unpredictable nature that Villager's versions have. Also, both of Isabelle's attacks have less landing lag. So yeah, mechanically they're a bit different, but other than that, the attacks themselves are still very similar. That's it for their air attacks, so it's time to discuss their special moves. Aside from a difference of animation, their neutral specials are the exact same. They can pocket a projectile or item, and then press the input again to toss it back out. They both also have the same damage multiplier for pocketed projectiles. Oh, and they both have those intangibility frames during the move too. Their forward specials are completely different moves. Villager fires a Lloyd rocket, and Isabelle uses her fishing rod. Villager's attack is a slow-moving projectile. It does modest damage, but it's even more powerful if it's destroyed by an attack or runs out of fuel, causing a fiery explosion that does higher damage and knockback than usual. You can also ride the Lloyd rocket by holding down the input, which can be useful as a recovery option, but beware that if the move ends or you hop off, Villager will be put into a free fall. Isabelle's fishing rod is basically a long-range grab. However, it'll bounce right off of shields, unlike most other grabs in the game. When catching an opponent, you can throw them in 4 directions, with her forward and up throw being the best for getting KOs at high percentages. And the down throw is a useful combo tool. Her fishing rod is also a good tool for edgeguarding opponents with predictable recoveries. Not to mention, she can even use her fishing rod as a tether recovery, which is definitely a better recovery option than the Lloyd rocket due to its predictable and risky nature. Their down specials are also very different. Villager plants a tree, while Isabelle plants a Lloyd trap. Villager's attack is done through several steps. First, you have to plant the tree, then water it, and finally you have to chop it twice with the axe to make it fall over, which is insanely powerful. It'll even inflict damage as the tree is growing, but as you can probably imagine, setting up this move is difficult due to how long it takes to complete the full sequence. It also doesn't help that other characters can destroy the tree. Not only that, the tree will simply wither away and die if it's sitting around for too long. One nice thing is that while the tree is on stage, Villager can freely use the axe to attack enemies, which is actually quite strong. Also, when chopping down the tree, it'll sometimes spawn a wood chip or very rarely a fruit. Isabelle's attack is a trap that'll activate in one of 2 ways. Either an enemy walks over the trap, or you activate it manually by pressing the attack input again. Once it activates, a gyroid launches out of the ground and carries the opponent with it into the air until it explodes. Much like Villager's tree, the trap can be destroyed and will disappear if it's sitting around for too long. Their up specials are the same moves. Both characters fly around using balloons. The only real difference is that Isabelle's version goes slightly less distance, but it's such a tiny amount, it barely matters. Well, we're almost done, but there are just a few more things to cover. First off, their throws are about the same, and they both use the net for their grab. Both characters' strongest throw is their back throw, and is really the only one that's good for KOs. And to end it off, their final smash attacks, which have very small differences. In terms of visuals, Villager builds a new home, and Isabelle builds Town Hall. Isabelle's version does a little more damage and knockback, but that's about it. Other than that, they are the same. So, that's that. Personally, I do feel like they have enough differences to help them stand apart as separate, unique characters. But I also think if Isabelle's air attacks would have been exclusive to her, it would have gone a long way to giving her more of an identity. It is nice though that their smash attacks are totally different from one another. Overall, I prefer to play as Isabelle. I guess the unique parts of her moveset fit my playstyle a bit more. But what about you all? Sound off in the comments. Okay, that's all the time I've got. I gotta get back to playing Animal Crossing New Horizons on my Nintendo Switch. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you again soon. Catch you later.